Hey everyone, welcome to the Clover FPV Systems YouTube channel. Free your VTX, FPV everything.
Yo, bye!
Welcome to our first series of build videos featuring our flagship line, the Lucky, the Shamrock, and the ShamCam. A couple quick notes that will apply to all of our frames. The high quality carbon fiber plates used in the frames are cut right here in Minnesota at Unger CNC. For all of the frames that we see here in the first line, the battery is intended to be mounted toilet tank. The reason being that it shifts weight off of the center line. The frames are on the heavy side, because they're designed for bashing first and foremost. Taking this into consideration, I recommend setting up your builds for 6S if you intend to run a GoPro. Okay, let's get ready to build the Lucky 5 True-X. Okay, you guys, what we have right in front of me here is the Clover cage, the world's first highly modular, quick swapping, hard mounting VTX cage with a couple of its 3D printable options. If you're interested in all of the options for it, be sure to check Clover FPV Systems website, where you'll find everything that you need to adapt and 3D print your own mounts for all of your devices. I'm just going to leave the models for the 03 air unit, the Caddy's top plate, bottom plate, 20mm standoffs, and 8 10mm screws. You'll also notice what I have in front of me, a 2mm hex driver and thread locker. I highly recommend using thread locker on at least all of your bottom plate screws. First things first, we're going to grab one of the 10mm screws and put it up through one of the 4 standoff holes. Take a standoff, put it in place. And we're going to do that for all 4 of them. And your bottom is assembled. Now we can take the 3D print for the 03 air unit and fit it in over the standoffs. Our bottom plate is finished, but we are ready for the top plate. If you're using the 03 air unit, the 03 air unit will be tucked safely in there. You can install your removable antenna mount into the antenna slot in the back of the top plate, and we're ready to put our top plate screws in. I don't normally use Loctite on top plate screws. You can if you want. All right, you guys, that's how you assemble a Clover cage. You'll see that there are 2 holes near the front and 2 holes near the back. Those will be for your mounting screws. If you're building your Clover cage for an FPV drone, we'll cut to whichever drone you're building next. If you're building it for a surface vehicle, then we'll cut to a tutorial on how to use the external mounting system. Whatever you're using, we'll see you over there. All right, you guys, what we have in front of us is the Lucky platform. The Lucky is the flagship drone platform from Clover FPV Systems. It started with the 5-inch True-X and swaps to Dead Cat by just switching out the front 2 arms, and it also supports the 7-inch Stretch X. So the build process for the 7-inch, the Dead Cat, and the True-X are all going to be the same. I'm going to build the 5-inch True-X today. And you can use this tutorial with the others, just swap in the arms that you like. Along with your kit, you'll be receiving a bag of hardware. Okay, in your hardware kit, you're going to have 4 different lengths of screws. The 25mm screws for your standoffs, 14mm screws, 8 of which are for your arms, 2 of which are for the front 2 holes of your Clover cage mount, 2 8mm, M3 screws for the rear two holes of your Clover cage, and 12 M12 screws for your standoffs. I do suggest following my instructions closely because there's a couple things that might trip you up if you don't. First and foremost, there are hidden M3 hexes that go into the bottom of your mounting plate. Once you have that finished, you can set it aside because the next thing that we're going to do is install your press nuts. Your kit will include 10 press nuts, 8 of which are for your arms, 2 of which are for the front mounting holes for your Clover cage. The bottom plate has a top, which we're looking at, and a bottom. You can tell the difference by the inset holes. It is very important to have these facing down. For the arms, we need to install press nuts into the top. To do this, just grab one of your spare 12mm screws and start to thread it in from the bottom. Grab a 2mm wrench and tighten it down. Hold it with your fingers so that it doesn't spin, and start to wrench on it. Watch the upper ring of the press nut close down to the carbon fiber. You really don't want to over tighten these guys because you can just shred that top layer of carbon fiber while you're installing these. But just carefully go one by one, and in these 8 holes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, install your press nuts in the top of the bottom plate. All right. Yeah, these don't have to be perfect right now, guys, because they're gonna get torqued down much harder when we put the arms on later. So those are the press nuts for the arms in the top of the bottom plate. Now we are going to flip the bottom plate to reveal the bottom of the bottom plate. And this is where we are going to put 2 more press nuts so that when we put the Clover cage on it, we can hard mount that sucker. Again, these are going in the bottom of the bottom plate. There go those teeth down into the carbon fiber. The next thing that we're going to do in order is take our chin strap and mount it to the front, push it all the way into place, and you will know it is in place when these 2 holes here line up with those 2 holes there. You can then insert standoffs into these holes to hold them in place, and we are going to flip the build upside down to reveal the insets in the bottom. And now I highly recommend that you use a thread locker during this process, because once the build is finished, these inset screws in the bottom plate are going to be inaccessible without removing all of your arms and your squish plate. So you can grab up pliers and really wrench down on these guys. You do not want them coming loose. And be forced to do all of this later or in the field. Sorry to your standoffs, then they're gonna get a little bit marred during this process, but it's a basher build, so what do you want from me? Next thing we're gonna do is install the other inset pieces of hardware, which are going to be your stack standoffs. Obviously, you will choose if you're doing a 20 by 20 or 30 by 30 stack. It suggests using thread locker here as well. Next thing we can do is start installing the rest of our standoffs. For those, we'll be using the 12mm, and again, for anything going up through the bottom plate, I suggest using Loctite. Now, these screws are meant to be long enough to go as far into the standoff as possible. Some imperfections in standoffs leave some unthreaded space towards the middle. So if your screw starts to grip really tight and seems like it won't go through, as long as you have the right length, what you should do is hold on to the standoff as tightly as you can and make some threads, because like I said, it's so that we can make our standoffs as sturdy as possible. I'll just do a few cranks to get these as tight as we can do. I like using my tool set from Flyin because it's a nice hardened steel and never slips. Next thing we're going to do is install the arms and the squish plate. To begin assembling the arms, I just like to hold the bottom plate into place roughly. We're going to be using our 14mm long screws for each one of these holes. And the first time you thread them in, it's going to be a little bit tough. We like our tolerances tight. And so each one of these 14mm screws is going to go through each one of these holes, through the corresponding hole in the arm, and up into one of the press nuts on the other side. Don't tighten them down super hard to begin with, or you won't be able to get the other arms into place. I like to start with just one screw per arm in the outside holes. Shift the arms around until they all fit together. Now that we've got one in each, we can go around and put in the rest of the screws. We're still not quite ready to tighten these all the way down. We're still just putting one in each. And we are in. You may notice some imperfections in the interfacing of the arms in the middle. They don't have to be perfect. I promise you it doesn't matter for the tune. Now that they're all in place, we can go ahead and wrench them all the way down. If you are using the shoe that has the lip on it, the best way to insert that is with the 2 points of the arm first. Force it into the print using the flexibility of the TPU, and then snap it into place. Next, you are going to want to put your trunk on, and that you just slide over the standoffs in the back and press down hard to get it into place. This right here is an antenna holder for when you install your RX. If you choose to use the XT60 guide, now's the time to install it. You take the leaves of the Clover and line them up and then push it down over the standoff. We have 6 M12 screws left that go down through the top plate. Like I was saying before, sometimes standoffs don't have threading that goes all the way through. All you have to do is hold on tight and make the thread. There she is, ready for a Clover cage. Let's install it. You should have 2 14 and 2 8mm screws left. The 14s are for the front. The screws for the front go down only through the bottom plate, not through the top plate. The hole in the top is for your tool to go through. Insert the screw into the hole and just start threading it through. The 3D print will hold it into place. Put the screw in the other side. You'll learn this skill, I promise, and use your tool down through the top plate and begin threading it in. Do the same for the 2 screws in the back. These ones, you can usually just push them in to the 3D print so it starts to hold it in place. Now you can put your Clover cage onto the mounting plate, and you'll have space between the top plates to screw into the back. And just remember that that hex screw underneath is only held in place by a thin TPU print. You're not going to be able to tighten down all the way. And then in the front, you screw down and screw down until that front screw begins to go into the press nut in the bottom plate. And once it feels nice and tight, you go and do the one on the other side. And that is how you build a Clover FPV Systems Lucky. I love this drone, and I think you're gonna love it too. All right, I hope you had a great time building. If you had any questions, met any snags, have any suggestions, please either leave them in the comments below or check out our website and join the community where you can talk directly to me and the other designers and all of the other FPV maniacs in the Clover FPV Systems community. There are resources available in the description below and on the website www.cloverfpvsystems.com that will guide you through and hopefully answer any of the questions that you may have. I'm really happy that you're here using the Clover FPV system, and I hope I've helped you along on your quest to FPV everything. Hey everyone, Clover FPV Systems is on a mission to grow. I want to take this project worldwide, and to do that, I could use your support. The best way to do that is to go over to cloverfpvsystems.com and make a purchase. The easiest way to do that is to subscribe, like, and comment on this video. And if you'd like early access and ad-free versions of all of our videos, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, merch, and more, please head over to our Patreon. And remember, the cure for bad luck isn't good luck, it's perseverance. Stay bashing. I'll be here in the next video.